So first of all, what is the meaning of homeostasis? Okay, homeostasis is the maintenance of constant internal environment which is vital for an organisms to stay healthy. Fluctuations, that is changes in temperature, water levels and nutrient concentrations can lead to death. Okay, so the internal environment of the body should be maintained constant. This phenomena is called homeostasis. Okay, so that is the definition of homeostasis which you will take down, and then we'll just go through the other things from the textbook. Also here temperature regulation is one homeostatic function, okay, that is maintaining constant temperature of the body. Mammals and birds are warm-blooded, that is they maintain a constant body temperature despite external environment changes. So outside temperature may be higher or it may be lower, but inside the body same temperature is maintained. Human body temperature maintained is 37 degrees Celsius. So there are different mechanisms or processes by which this human body temperature will be maintained even if outside temperature is hot or outside temperature is cold. You can just take down the definition of homeostasis and what is the meaning of temperature regulation. Now maintaining the internal environment. The environment surroundings of a living organism is always changing. So surrounding conditions will be changing. Think about your own environment. The temperature of the air around you changes. For example, if you live in a temperate country, it might be minus 10 degrees Celsius outside on a cold dry winter and 23 degrees Celsius indoors. If you live in tropics, the outside temperature may be well over 40 degrees Celsius. So under such conditions, maintenance of constant temperature, body temperature is necessary. The cells inside your body, however, do not have a changing environment. Your body keeps the environment inside you almost the same all the time. In the tissue fluid surrounding your cells, the temperature and the amount of water are kept almost constant. So is the concentration of glucose. So these are the three things that we have to maintain: constant environment, amount of water, temperature, and concentration or amount of glucose. Keeping this internal environment constant is called homeostasis. Homeostasis is very important. It helps your cells to work as efficiently as possible. So why constant conditions should be maintained? So that our cells will work properly in all states. Keeping a constant temperature of around 37 degrees Celsius helps enzymes to work at optimum rates, that is at proper rates. Keeping a constant amount of water means that your cells are not damaged by absorbing or losing too much water by osmosis. So that's the purpose why water level should be kept constant in the body. Keeping a constant concentration of glucose means there is always enough fuel for respiration, because respiration is taking place in every cell of our body. So the amount of glucose that is to be maintained should almost be constant. In this chapter, you will see how homeostasis is carried out in humans. The nervous system and various endocrine glands are involved, as well as the skin, pancreas, and liver. So these are the things that we are going to study in this particular chapter. The control of body temperature. Mammals and birds are endothermic. Now what is the meaning of this? It means that even if the surrounding temperature is changing, mammals and birds, these both kind of organisms will be able to maintain their body temperature constant. Some animals, including ourselves, are very good at controlling their body temperature. They can keep the temperature almost constant, even though the temperature of their environment, that is the surroundings, changes. Animals that can do this are called endothermic animals. This term means that they can get their heat energy from within themselves. Endo means within. So if outside body temperature is very low or it's cold, then our body will generate sufficient heat in our cells and will maintain the temperature. Mammals and birds are endothermic. Animals that do not do this are called ectothermic. The example of these snakes are given. The outside temperature over here is 0 degrees Celsius. So at 0 degrees Celsius, ectothermic animals' metabolic rate slows down. So their body processes will be slowed down, and this is how they will be able to conserve energy in their body. Okay, because its body temperature is also 0 degrees Celsius. So the animals will become inactive. If the outside temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, at 20 degrees Celsius, ectothermic animals' body temperature is also 23 degrees Celsius. Metabolic rate speeds up, and at that time this animal becomes active. This is about now endothermic animals. Okay, say for example here cat is there at 0 degrees Celsius, and endothermic animals remains active. So this is the difference. Its cells produce heat by breaking down food through respiration. Its body temperature stays enough to keep the metabolism going. So our body temperature does not fall to this temperature because inside the body itself the heat is produced and maintains the body temperature. If the outside temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, then endothermic animal is no more active than at 0 degrees Celsius because the body temperature does not change. It may even be less active to avoid overheating. So this is how the endothermic animals will be maintaining their body temperature. Now being endothermic has great advantages. What are these advantages? If the internal body temperature can be kept at around 37 degrees Celsius, then enzymes can always work very efficiently no matter what the outside temperature is. So how much ever is the outside temperature, if the inside temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, then our enzymes will keep on working. Metabolism can keep going even when it is cold outside. In cold weather or at night, an endothermic animal can be active when an ectothermic animal is too cold to move. So at that time, they will not be able to move, they will go in the inactive state. But there is a price to pay. The energy to keep warm has to come from somewhere. So that much nutrients will get used up in our body. Endothermic animals get their heat energy from food by respiration. Because of this, endothermic animals have to eat far more food than ectothermic ones. So even when we are, say for example, sleeping, and if outside temperature is less, that much heat energy has to be produced. In such case, the food will get used up or utilized up. So that much more food has to be eaten up by endothermic animals. Now, homeostasis is the maintenance of constant internal environment. It is in three respects. One is the temperature, second one is the amount of water, and third one is the amount of glucose. Now, skin is one of the organ that helps us in maintenance of this condition. So this is one of the most important organs involved in temperature regulation in mammals is the skin. The figure 14.3 shows the section through human skin. Okay, so this is the diagram that we are going to have for human skin, okay, which will be helping in maintenance of constant environment. Human skin is made up of two layers. The upper layer is called the epidermis and the lower layer is called the dermis. All the cells in the epidermis have been made in the layers of cells at the base of it. So the base will be at the dermis. These cells are always dividing of the type of cell division called as mitosis. So cell division constantly will be taking place. So new cells will be constantly produced. The new cells that are made gradually move towards the surface of the skin. So inside whatever the cells are made, new cells are made, they will go toward the surface of the skin. As they go, they die. So once they come to the surface, they will die and fill up with the protein that is known as keratin. The top layer of the skin is made up of these dead cells. It is called as cornified layer. So this will be made up of dead cells. The cornified layer protects the softer living cells underneath. So outside layer is dead while the inner layers will be alive. Because it is hard and it's waterproof, it is always being worn away and replaced by cells from beneath. So this is constantly happening every instant of your life. On the parts of the body which get most wear and tear, for example, the soles of the feet, it grows thicker. Why? Because the growth is more faster. Some of the cells in the epidermis contain a dark brown pigment which is known as melanin. Melanin absorbs the harmful ultraviolet rays in sunlight, which would damage the living cells in the deeper layers of the skin. So this is the function of melanin. More darker the skin color, more amount of melanin is present. Therefore, you see those African people, because more sun light is over there, they will have more melanin and their skin will be more darker. Here and there, the epidermis is folded inwards, forming a hair follicle. The hair grows from each one. Hairs are made up of keratin. These are the layers which are going to make up the hair. Now the dermis, this is the next second layer of the skin which is alive. Most of the dermis is made up of the connective tissue. So these are going to be the living cells. This tissue contains elastic fibers and collagen fibers. As the person gets older, the fibers lose their elasticity. So the skin becomes loose and wrinkled. This is for old persons. The dermis also contains sweat glands. These secrete a liquid called sweat. This is of course when the outside temperature is higher. At that time more amount of sweat will be produced. Sweat is mostly water with small amounts of salts and urea dissolved in it. It travels up the sweat ducts and out onto the surface of the skin through the sweat pores. As we will see, sweat helps in temperature regulation. The dermis contain blood vessels and nerve endings. So this will be useful in detection of temperature, outside temperature. These nerve endings are sensitive to touch, pain, pressure, and temperature. So they help you to keep you aware of changes in your environment. Now below this there will be a layer of fat. Underneath this dermis is a layer of fat called adipose tissue. This fatty tissue is made up of cells which contain large drops of oil. So this also will form a bad conducting layer. So transmission of heat or exchange of heat is not allowed with the surroundings. So this layer helps to insulate your body against heat loss and also acts as an energy reserve. Okay, when less amount of food is available, at that time these adipose fat will be used as reserve source of food and reserve source of energy. Now what's going to happen when changes in temperature will be there? The hypothalamus, this is the organ or the part that is present inside your brain. So a part of the brain called hypothalamus is at the center of the control mechanism that keeps internal temperature constant. The hypothalamus coordinates the activities of parts of the body that can bring about temperature changes. So whenever any temperature changes will be detected, the hypothalamus will become active and it will carry out whatever is necessary. The hypothalamus acts like a thermostat. Thermo means temperature, stat means maintaining constant. Static means constant. So temperature maintenance is constant, which is done by hypothalamus. It contains temperature receptors that sense the temperature of the blood or running through it. If this is above or below 37 degrees Celsius, then the hypothalamus sends electrical impulses. So the signals will be sent to the skin along the nerves to the parts of the body which have the function of regulating your body temperature. Now, when the temperature falls, if your temperature drops below 37 degrees Celsius, nerve impulses from hypothalamus cause the following things to happen. Okay, so these are the changes that are going to take place when the body is too cold. In that case, okay, the hairs will stand up. In this way, it will close the pores of the skin and the exchange of heat with the surrounding will be stopped. At the same time, okay, when the body becomes too hot, the sweat pores will be open. The sweat will release. This evaporation of sweat from the skin will cause the loss of water, which is going to cause cooling effect on the skin. Here the arterioles supplying the capillaries will dilate, bringing more blood to the capillaries. So this is going to open up and the sweat will be lost. So these are the two conditions when the temperature control has to be maintained. Now this is when the temperature outside is less. The muscles will work. Muscles in some parts of the body contract and relax very quickly. So this is going to create shivering. This produces heat. It is called shivering. The heat generated in the muscle warms the blood as it flows through them. The blood distributes this heat all over the body. So because of shivering, heat will be produced. Metabolism may increase, so more respiration, faster respiration will take place. The speed of chemical reactions such as respiration may increase. This also releases more heat energy. We have discussed this part. Hair also will stand up. It will close the sweat pores. Exchange of heat with the surroundings also will be prevented. The erector muscles help in skin contract, pulling the hairs up one end. In humans, this does not do anything useful. It produces goose pimples. In a hairy animal though, like cat, it traps a thicker layer of warm air next to the skin. This prevents the skin from losing more warmth, which acts as an insulator. What is happening to the blood system, that also we will see. The arterioles that supply the blood capillaries near to the surface of the skin become narrower or constricted. This is called vasoconstriction. So less amount of blood will be flowing near the surface. Only a very little blood can flow in them. The blood flows through shunt vessels. Parallel vessels are there, which are deep lying capillaries instead. Because these are deep under the skin, beneath the insulating fatty surface tissue, the blood does not lose so much of heat to the air. So less amount of blood will flow from the surface and less amount of heat loss will be occurring. The next part is when the surrounding temperature is higher. When the temperature rises, hair lies flat. The erector muscles in the skin relax so that hairs lie flat on the skin. The blood system loses heat because the temperature is higher. The arterioles supply the capillaries near the surface of the skin and get wider, become dilated. This is known as vasodilation. So more amount of blood will flow from nearer to the surface and more heat can be easily lost. Also sweating also will take place. More blood therefore flows through them. Because a lot of blood is so near the surface of the skin, heat is rapidly lost from the blood into the air. When sweat glands secrete sweat, this is normal during the summer season. The sweat lies on the surface of the hot skin. The water in it then evaporates, taking heat from the skin with it, thus cooling the body. Okay, this is what is known as negative feedback. If the body temperature is too high, uh, the hypothalamus will detect these changes, and it will carry out the function in order to
So
maintain
down
the
is going down.
temperature. Okay, in order to maintain the temperature here. Okay, no, this is when the body is too hot. At that time it has to be cooled down. Yes. Okay, so here the respiration will be slowed down, the hairs will lie flat, and the surface blood vessel will dilate, sweating will happen. Same way, when the body is too cold, there will be a mechanism by which the temperature of the body has to be increased. This is the processes that are taking place, which are controlled by the activity center of our brain into the hypothalamus. This is known as negative feedback.